What is up, everybody? Brian Zane here. I'm reporting to you from my very narrow window of time that I have between my vacation in Mexico and my trip to Los Angeles for WrestleMania weekend. But I'm here to talk to you about my predictions for the big two-night event happening at SoFi Stadium over in Inglewood, always up to no good. A lot of big matches on this show I am very excited for. Some I'm kind of indifferent about. The Miz is going to be the guest host for the weekend. Bobby Lashley's status on the show proper is kind of still TBD. I know he's going to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on the Smackdown before Mania. I don't think that he's going to be truly out of WrestleMania proper. Same with LA Knight, but of course, who knows what's going to happen between now and then. Lots to talk about, though, with the main card, and we will begin with the show that has been advertised to open night one for the U.S. Championship as Austin Theory defends against Big Match John Cena. I'm really intrigued by this. It's a match they've been kind of building up toward for a long time. It's the past versus the present and possibly the future of the company. I can see a lot of the young John Cena in Austin Theory's mannerisms and his character arc in a lot of ways. I can see a lot of parallels there and kind of the way he has been treated in the company. I think some of the stuff that they've been doing with Austin has really done him few favors. For example, his promo off with John Cena, boy, that didn't make him look good at all. It's kind of a trial by fire thing, I think, is what they're doing with Theory here. I do believe he is going to retain this championship. I mean, John Cena, him winning the belt again would be fun, nice. I don't know what adjective you use to describe that. I don't think it'd be helpful, though. That's not a word I would use to describe Cena actually winning here. Although Cena has given himself so much in his last, few appearances in ring, I also wouldn't be surprised, if he gets a win, to make up for those losses he'd had, for instance. But I think my guts tell me that Theory is going to retain, and maybe some sneaky way Cena will still get to hit the AA or whatever afterward, and that match will end on a uplifting note, even though Cena will not win the championship. That's my guess anyway. Seth F. Rollins takes on Logan Paul. What a year Logan Paul has had. I think he has more than earned his place in WWE. I've always said that if you're able to put in the work and make it look good, then it's worth trying. And I think Logan Paul has definitely he has exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Just from last year when he was in that match with The Miz as tag team partner at WrestleMania, his performance at SummerSlam, his stuff at Crown Jewel, his recovery from his knee injury, to be in this spot here. And I think he's been playing a great foil to Seth Rollins, who has been kind of like that tweener for a long time, but this has firmly put him in that babyface category here. And I think that this is going to be a possible contender for match of the evening. I think that these two guys are both extremely athletic. Logan Paul seems to be one of those guys who can kind of absorb that medium of wrestling like a sponge and do really well for himself. So I think if anyone's going to have a great one-on-one match with him, it's going to be Seth, because that guy has been able to just kind of carry so many people and so many storylines over the years. This is going to be a great showcase for both men, I would say. But this is one for Seth to win. I don't think that Logan's going to be the one coming away with the victory here. He's going to look great. I kind of liken it to, Pat McAfee and Adam Cole in NXT during the pandemic era, where, Adam was kind of put his back against the wall in this babyface position, and they had a great match. Pat McAfee understood the assignment and did great, but ultimately it was Cole who came out on top. I think that's what we're going to see here. Seth is going to win the day here. 6-woman tag team match as Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus team up to take on Damage Control. I think this match is a good spectacle for Damage Control and Becky Lynch. It's a good platform for them, especially. Although I don't think they've done a very good job really explaining just why Lita and Trish are involved in this thing. They had a chance to articulate that, on Miz TV on Raw this week, but I still don't think they did a very good job of it. So it just seemed like, Becky is teaming with these legends kind of out of nowhere. But I mean, if we're going to get this kind of marquee matchup, then hopefully, I hope for the best for this one. I think it should be a very entertaining matchup. As far as who's going to win, that's tough, because I feel that, Damage Control, since they debuted last year, have eaten so many, just unnecessary losses over the months. And even when they were tag team champions, it was kind of a nothing reign, and then they dropped it to Becky and Lita. And so what do you have for them? I think this is going to be a good opportunity for Damage Control to bounce back, possibly. Although, kind of seeing where I'm looking at the rest of the women's tag division, maybe that's not where it's going to go. I mean, it seems kind of disappointing, but I'm going to go with, Becky and the Legends winning this one. Damage Control, another loss, and that's going to be tough to see, I think. But as far as where I think the rest of the women's tag division, in particular where the titles are going to go, where that leads to, I'll tell you in a little bit. Brock Lesnar takes on Omos in quite possibly one of the biggest WrestleMania matches in history, especially when it just comes to height and weight, because, man, that's a lot of beef in that ring. As the classic phrase goes, there will be some big men bumping meat in this matchup, to say the least. It took me a while to settle into and accept Lesnar versus Omos for this one, because Lesnar and Lashley was right there. We all saw it at Elimination Chamber, the way that match ended. It felt natural for it to go that direction and have another matchup. But then Bray Wyatt gets entered into the picture. He's going to challenge the winner of that match. For why? Neither of those paths would have made sense to me. And so whatever's going on with Bray right now, he is at this moment not on the WrestleMania card. It might be a swerve. He might show up regardless. Who really knows? But Lashley's left in the wind as a result of that. I think that Lesnar and Lashley would have been a much better result, or would have been a much better outcome than whatever Lashley and Wyatt were going to do. And I still think it would be a better matchup than Lesnar and Omos. But they're going to make the most of it. I think it's going to be, I would imagine, a relatively short match. Just big move, big move, big move. Lesnar's going to pick up Omos, and the crowd's going to ooh and ah about it. And I think that Lesnar is going to win this one. But it just feels like the whole missed opportunity there, because again, Lesnar, Lashley, it was right there. Moving on to the women's championship matches, beginning with the Raw Women's title as Bianca Belair defends against Asuka. This match I'm pretty excited for. The build to me has been a little lackluster, but I think the match itself is going to really come through here. Bianca has done a terrific job in the last year or so, really holding it down as the top female babyface, the top female champion right now, I think across both brands, but in particular Raw. And I think that this is going to be a great showcase for her. However, I think that her time will be up. I think that this is going to be Asuka's time, her moment, and it's something you're going to hear me say in the next Women's Championship match. I feel that a right will be corrected in this matchup. Going back to Mania 34 New Orleans, I think Asuka is going to win this match and become the new Raw Women's Champion. I not take anything away from Bianca, I just think that she's going to be the one who loses. Speaking of wrongs being made right, we got to talk about the Smackdown Women's Championship match as Rhea Ripley of the Judgment Day challenges Charlotte Flair. Of course, thinking back to Mania 38, the Pandemic Mania, it felt like that was a match for Rhea Ripley to win and really assert herself, and really kind of like that should have been a moment for Rhea Ripley where her career should have just taken off. But, bewilderingly, frustratingly, Charlotte won that match, and the whole thing was, it's going to elevate the NXT Women's Championship, and we all know how that turned out. And if you don't remember, exactly, it didn't work out very well. So I think that this is an opportunity for them to kind of correct that and kind of make good on that by having Rhea win this one. And she's been on such a roll lately. Charlotte, I feel, she's just one of those kind of like, she's in that rarefied air where it doesn't really matter what she does. Whether she wins or loses, she's going to be that star, that upper tier talent who's going to make the opponent and bring them up as well. And so I believe that, Rhea is going to win this one, and she's going to become the new champion. And so where that leaves her and Dominic and the rest of the Judgment Day, not entirely sure, but I think that, her winning the championship here would feel good to me, at least. That match there is rumored to be the main event for night one of WrestleMania, but I think the conventional wisdom has us saying that, hey, shouldn't this match actually be the main event for night one, as the Usos defend the undisputed tag titles against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? That right there, I mean, that's we talked about this in the last couple of months, how, Sami Zayn being reunited with Kevin Owens, fighting for the tag titles here, it feels like a consolation prize, because I think that what we'd seen in the last several months, Sami versus Roman, I don't know, I was so of two minds about that one, where it's like Sami probably shouldn't be the guy to defeat Roman Reigns. Oh, but what if he did? What if he was that guy? Wouldn't that have been something? We didn't get that. And so, I still feel like it's kind of, a consolation prize to be there for the tag titles. But if Kevin and Sami can dethrone the Usos, who've had their own record-smashing reign with the belts, then I think that'll be good. That will be a feel-good moment, regardless of the stuff with he and Roman having happened. Because the story really is with Sami and Jay and Sami and Jimmy, I think. And then, of course, the emotional high of Sami and Kevin coming back together. I don't think Kevin is going to betray. I don't think either of them are going to betray the other in this matchup here. I believe Sami and Kevin will be the ones to win this thing, and it will be a feel-good moment. I do think it should be the main event for night one, because if you're going to have Roman and Cody main eventing night two, it just makes sense for the Bloodline to also represent the main event on the other night. Gunther defends the Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and we talked earlier about Lesnar and Omos, big beefy men bumping meat. Oh my God, the impact from seeing this match is going to give viewers and spectators secondhand concussions, I believe, because this is going to be a very hard-hitting match. It's going to be entertaining in that sort of way. We've seen what all three of these guys have done to each other in different combinations and iterations over the last several months. This feels like it's going to be much of the same here, but I think Gunther is going to retain and keep that very, very long, healthy streak of his alive just a little bit longer here. I mean, I don't know who's going to topple him for the belt. God, the way he was presented as, NXT UK champion, as this unkillable beast, and much in the same way he's being treated now with the Intercontinental Championship. Who do you put in that position to, wrest the belt from Gunther? I don't really know who that is right now. I don't think it's Sheamus or Drew yet. Maybe in the back of my mind, I could see Drew winning this one and getting the Intercontinental Championship, but I think ultimately it just makes more sense for me, at least, to see Gunther retain. Edge taking on Finn Balor in Heck in a Sec, and the Demon's coming back for this one, folks. We're going to maybe like a purplified, spiky demon we're going to get for this one. I thought that whole thing was dead and buried after he joined the Judgment Day, but this is an angle certainly many, many months in the making. It's crazy to think of where we were a year ago when Edge was forming the Judgment Day, and he was this melodramatic, unnecessarily spooky individual, and then he was kicked out of the group allegedly because he didn't want to do supernatural stuff with the Judgment Day. Then they wound up not doing supernatural stuff with the Judgment Day anyway, and here he is now being still a spooky, melodramatic, overly melodramatic character. His promos for this build have been so cheesy, and he's really tapping into this place here, but I don't think his promos have sold me on the match as much as just the in-ring stuff, like stuff we saw in the mixed tag match at Elimination Chamber, their battles, Clash at the Castle and the Rumble before that. I think that this is going to be, the thing with Edge matches, they're kind of in that same category as Triple H matches, the later era Triple H matches, where they're just so long, so needlessly long, so just drawn out, and when you could easily take a 24-minute match and make it 14, and it would be even better, I think. So I feel we're going to get one of those matches here where it's just going to feel like, come on, get to it already. That's why I felt last year with Edge and AJ Styles, and so I'm afraid we're going to get into that mode here. So as far as who's going to win, though, I mean, I could see either of them winning. I think Finn could use the win, but I think it's more the feel-good thing for Edge to win. God, if I had to do it, to me it's kind of a coin flip, but I would probably say that Finn is going to win this one. That's my pick because, hey, it's the Demon. And speaking of the Judgment Day, of course, we got to talk about Dominik Mysterio. Prison Dom going against his old man, Rey Mysterio. Father versus son. What a match. What a build that this has become. I didn't think Dominik had the chops to make an angle like this work, even though I think a lot of us saw that this betrayal was going to come and we would get a match, but no one really knew when it was going to happen. But the way they have told this story, the way Rey has acted, and the way he has responded to Dominik with every attack and every moment, the times Dominik and Rhea Ripley have crashed Rey's moments and stuff, and the family moments and everything, it's been really good storytelling, and the way Dominik has been presented as this utter petulant prick of a child who just needs to, be taken to the woodshed, as Jim Ross would say. Just like that, I think that story is a timeless one, and I think that Rey and Dominik have totally held their own in the character work, and I'm really excited for this matchup. I don't think I would have been as excited about this a year ago, but this is, to me, one of the bigger, more emotional matches we'll see here. But ultimately, Rey, it's his weekend. He's going into the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. He's winning this thing, no question for me. Well, you can't have WrestleMania without a couple of cool-down matches throughout, and I'm pretty sure that's what these four-way tag team matches are going to be serving as over the course of the weekend, these showcase matches, as it were. Let's begin with the women's tag match. First of all, props to Chelsea Green. What a return she's had, and I guess the average she's had in terms of pay-per-view appearances. It was the Royal Rumble where she made her return, and now she's working WrestleMania. And when you think about the trajectory she has had in WWE over the years, the ups and downs, the arrivals, the injuries, the releases, coming back. I mean, it's quite a motivational story to see her getting the spot at WrestleMania. As far as these teams go, though, the only team I can see winning is the only team that I see with any kind of cohesion or history to it, and that is Ronda and Shayna Baszler. It's really crazy when you think how far Ronda has fallen as a draw or as a star, call it what you will, in WWE, just in the year that's passed since last year's WrestleMania. She was fighting Charlotte Flair for the Smackdown Women's Championship, and now she is one of 8 other women in an otherwise, to me, kind of like meh-sounding tag team matchup. But I think that this is going to be a nice rebuilding kind of angle for her and Shayna in particular, and I think these two, the fact these two are only now finally teaming up after the years that Ronda has spent on and off in WWE, I think is a huge amount of restraint shown by WWE to wait this long. So to have them together here, I think it works, I think it makes sense, and I think they're going to win this one here. And my prediction is that this is going to be the start of a bigger push for these two, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were the ones to knock Lita and Becky Lynch off as tag team champions. Maybe don't put it back on Damage Control yet, but I can see there being some money in a heel team of Ronda and Shayna as the women's tag team champions. But that's for another time. I think right now, though, they're the ones winning. Then there's the men's four-way tag team matchup, and honestly, this one's harder for me to pick, I think, because, I think they're all fine teams. Strowman and Ricochet is still one that's taking me some getting used to, but I think everyone else there, I think, makes sense. Like they have their team unity, they have cohesion. So as far as like who I think has the best momentum, it's hard for me to really predict. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if the Maximum Male Models got involved with Alpha Academy, and Otis, and trying to pull him further away from Chad Gable. I think that will play a role in things, and I think that might result in a finish, ending with possibly the Street Profits winning. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the ones to win this matchup here and give them some momentum, obviously. But the story for me is where Otis/Otis is heading with the Maximum Male Models. And that is a team that I think a lot of people soured on really early on. Maybe it's my affinity for Mansoor and Mansoor as a competitor, but I've always kind of like had a special place in my heart for this group. And of course, then LA Knight becoming Max Dupree and all that was such a weird start for them. But I think that they have really turned around. I think their stuff is some of the most entertaining that I have seen, because I love that just over-the-top, goofy stuff. And that's like what these guys are all about. And so, yeah, I see a lot of great potential for Otis being involved in that group. Then, of course, we got to talk about the main event. It's Cody Rhodes challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Cody won the Rumble, and by virtue of that, he's challenging Roman for both those belts. And this is one that I think can really go either way. I mean, on the one hand, I could see Roman just kind of cleaning up, winning, and continuing his reign of dominance. But beyond that, after that point, who do you get? It's the whole thing of like, oh, is Cody the guy to beat Roman and be that face of the company now? Like, well, if it's not him, who the hell is it? Because I think he's the best shot you have as someone to kind of carry that banner and be the one to lead the company and be that kind of like conquering hero babyface. So I think if there's no one else, especially in the short term, who I could see being someone to knock Roman off that perch. If anyone's going to do it, I think it has to be at WrestleMania. So I am going to be firm in my prediction that Cody Rhodes wins and knocks Roman Reigns off. I know there's been rumors that Roman's going to take some time off after WrestleMania, and that kind of could be a giveaway, but it also could be a red herring. So, I mean, there's one thing that says, oh, Roman could win, but boy, if you want to disappoint a crowd of thousands in LA, then that's one way to do it. I think that Cody winning is a logical choice, considering everything he's come back from, the big pec injury and his rehab, and coming back in that way he did at the Rumble. I think this is his time, and this is going to be like the culmination of that journey. And if it's not, then like, what are we doing? Like, who are you going to have to challenge Roman in the short term afterward? Because there's there's really, I don't think anyone else, because you've already had that moment and gone with Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens has had multiple chances. So it's like, it's Cody or bust at that point. So my prediction is Cody's going to win. But those are just my humble predictions, folks. What do you think is going to happen at WrestleMania this weekend? There are a lot of different ways, potentially, a lot of these matches could go, and I'm sure you all have varied opinions on those matches. So please, fire off in the comment section, and of course, I will see you on the other side with my full review of WrestleMania's Night 1 and 2. It's going to be sometime like early next week. Once I'm back home and settled, I'll probably be able to film it then, very similar to how I did the last year's WrestleMania review in Dallas. Not doing one for each night, just kind of combining them into one comprehensive review. And hey, if you're going to be in the Los Angeles area this weekend for WrestleMania and all these surrounding festivities, there are a lot of places you can find me. First of all, of course, I'm going to be back at WrestleCon on the convention floor at the Millennium Biltmore Friday and Saturday. Find me at table 11. Then Friday evening for Prestige Wrestling, I'm going to be calling the action alongside Jordan Castle for their big show, Nervous Breakdown, at the Globe Theater. That's streaming on Fight TV if you can't be there live for it. And then, of course, there's Mitzvah Mania, put on by Second Wrestling at Temple Beth Am Sunday afternoon. Battle of the Wrestling YouTube Stars as Team Zayn takes on Team Miller. There's definitely going to be some head slapping going on, but better believe it's not going to be my head that's getting smacked. Folks, I cannot wait for this weekend in Los Angeles. Hope to see you there. Enjoy the wrestling. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.